welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we're back with another Blindsided Creation. This one is pattern 182408 over on BraceletBook. Didn't do really any changes to it, but I did manage to get it centered and getting it kind of worked out so that way the whole thing would be symmetrical. I do notice that people tend to take these kind of patterns and they find a spot where they can split it and they go for it, and then yeah, it just sort of doesn't end on the same note that it started from. So I just want to kind of show that kind of like how I do it, how I've created a template to basically works with the size bracelets I'm striving for, and then make it so that way it turns out looking very, very deliberate. I think I said going into this that I thought that yellow and orange were going to be the colors most used, and oh boy howdy were they ever. In fact, getting towards the end, I started getting really nervous thinking that the yellow was just going to run out, but again, I cut my string in thirds for a reason. It makes it really easy to not have to worry about such things. They were shorter than I'm usually comfortable with, but they were still long enough to make perfectly good tassels. So there you go. It changed. I guess I did change the pattern a little bit. The way it starts, right, there's just like those two little segments inside. The original had three, but by reducing it down and bringing the shape, I could have like made it go out to imply the third one, but I kind of thought that it would look cooler this way with keeping the shape as it is. So yeah, as far as having to look at the pattern, not so much. This is very similar to a pattern that I do play around with a lot. But typically speaking, I don't have this big wide segment in here where there's like 7 of those little inner dot things going on. That was a little bit weird. And I guess for that part, I did keep counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like every single time I had to count it because my smooth brain just absolutely refuses to think about like holding a number in place while I'm busy making a lot of knots. I don't know why it's like that. It really does bother me. But that said, this is a really pretty easy bracelet in the intermediate department. It's not a beginner's thing because you do have zigzag knots and trying to keep it balanced and trying to keep both sides as you're doing all these little fiddly things, keeping it kind of even. It's real easy to get kind of out of place. But if you've been playing with bracelets a while and you know you got all 4 knots kind of well figured out, then this is probably for you, and it's a good test of how well you've got all that mastered, because there is a lot of room making mistakes. Honestly, it's a really big thing. You may actually notice like a lot of times it wanted to kind of veer off to the right, and you'll see me put my hands up there and do things and kind of pull it back to being straight. And that's part of the trick of like how to keep it straight. Now, mind you, normally if I was just doing this for the sake of doing it, I would work much closer to the clip because it's a lot easier to hold that straight line while your work is closer to the clip. But to show you what's going on and how I'm working the bracelet and how the pattern works, I do let it come down considerably further. It's just a thing for the videos, honestly. But then again, most everything I make now is done on video. Very, very few exceptions to that. Like maybe if I go on a vacation or something, I will make something just for the fun of it. Because yeah, I do enjoy making bracelets that much. Like honestly, it's even when I'm away, it's just a calming thing to do. So yeah, I've sat poolside, just tying knots, enjoying a breeze. Kind of cool. What can I say? I'm really into this hobby. So this is the beginning of the 7 different diamonds, and I kind of kept it kind of doing the same repetitive action, because it's not really super great at segmenting, but you know, kind of keeping it even over here kind of helps make things go a little bit better, I suppose. And like I said, I had to keep counting it. Like the first few, you know, you're nowhere near 7, but then as you get a little more, you start thinking, well, how many did I do? And then it's just, yeah, I don't know why. It's a cool pattern though. I like how the purples and stuff are sort of like barely even in there, but it just kind of adds to that whole rainbow thing that's going on the outer edges, which is pretty cool. The whole center thing is just really kind of brightly colored. I kind of do like the fact that it went with red in the smaller bit and then to the green on the outside. Although I could kind of see maybe if the purple had been the center dots, it would have been more contrast, and then the red would have been the more dominant color, and then yellow would have been the outside jagged part. So there is some room for changing this up and making it maybe a little bit more interesting, because then you would have had more of the hot colors to the center. You would have just had purple dots in the center and then the red, orange, and yellow for that whole big middle section. So yeah, if you try it, yeah, share it over on Discord, so that way we can all have a look at it and see how it turns out. Yeah, I think I got one more of the Blindsided Creations for tomorrow, and then I think we're going to try something different for next month. I don't know what yet, but I'm kind of running out of the Blindsided Creations. Unless you guys come up with some patterns for me, I don't know what else to do. So yeah, if you want to submit a Blindsided creation, it's easy. I just need the pattern number, which website that goes to, and the number of strings in the bracelet, so I can have a template ready for it. That's it. That's all it takes. Oh, you might mention whether or not you want to have your name mentioned in here. It turns out this one was sent in by anonymous. I'm cool with that. You know, if you just want to send in a bracelet number but you don't want your name mentioned, that's fine too. I don't mind. Trying to think. Oh, I kind of sped this up a lot because figuring that this wasn't that hard of a bracelet, I didn't want to stretch it out too far and have nothing to talk about. But I've already forgotten. I need to thank my YouTube members who make this possible. Without them, there'd be no string. There'd be, yeah, this channel wouldn't happen. There was a lot of times where I thought I would give up, but then knowing that there's people out there who value my work so much that they're willing to throw $4 a month at me just blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. I really thank you guys. It keeps me going, really. See, now I'm trying to count the things. Yeah, we're getting near the end of that. Oh, and so I didn't, in the first 30 minutes, I didn't get to the halfway point. I was close, but I didn't get to the halfway point. So I'm like, wow, this thing's going to take me longer than 60 minutes. And then the second half must have been going faster. I had to stop at one point. I had a part of the edge of my fingernail kept getting caught on the strings and like pulling out the individual fibers out of the floss. So I stopped at one point, filed it, and then went back to work. So then because of that, I really thought I went over the hour. Well, when I added up all the times together, it took me 62 minutes to make this bracelet. So yeah, an hour and 2 minutes, honestly. Again, a little bit surprised because there's not really much in the way of segment knotting when it comes to this pattern. But my familiarity with the pattern, not having to look up at the pattern as I'm working, these kind of things kind of help make it go faster. So yeah, way cool. Yeah. Yeah, because now it just goes into the chevron till it goes, cycles through most of the colors. Well, I guess it goes through all of them. And when the yellow comes back out, then it kind of goes different. So yeah, it's chevrons are easy. They're just, again, there's no segmenting to it. You just really pick a side and go with it. And then you're going to go faster. You can stay to the side you just did because you know all those strings are untangled. That's about it. Like that's the only trick I know when it comes to a chevron to make it go any faster at all. But yeah, if you're interested in the pattern, you know, or have questions or comments, you know, you can always leave me a comment. I do try to reply to everybody. There's a whole thing on YouTube where it's like comments you haven't responded to, and mine's always at 0 because I always say hey or something. Usually it's trying to help. So yeah, I just had somebody sent me a pattern, an alpha pattern, and they were trying to understand how it worked. And I had to be honest, I don't do alpha patterns. I kind of get the gist of what they do. I just don't do it. They feel like cheating. And so I don't do alphas. I did an alpha bag once, and that took some experimenting to try to get it to where I wasn't leaving holes in it. So there's a pretty cool video about that. If I was to ever do another alpha bag, I would literally go back and watch my own video so that way I could find out what that secret was, because yeah, that made it come out a whole lot cooler than it started. Because I was kind of doing this random number thing as far as like how long each of the little rows were that I was doing. So yeah, it's if you're interested in doing such a thing, check that out. Check out how short those yellow strings are too, by the way. Seriously, like it really felt like we're gonna run out, and that was a real problem. Hey, that's kind of just realized we're nearing the end of the video. Thank you for hanging out with me as always. And whoa, I accidentally started my own video again. Sorry. Anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.